separation of culture altogether. Like they used to be taught the Bible in school. Like, you know, people make fun of that now. Like now we've got this culture where you're making fun of kids. Like religion is like, we're so far away from religion. Like that's like weird to us. Like, you know, like teaching religion is like, you've got like a scarlet letter if you come in as like a holy Christian kid in like a normal public education thing. You've got the family structure where it's like these kids are running the houses these days. Like I look on like Facebook and it's like supposed to be funny when like a 4-year-old is acting like Cardi B. I'm like, okay, yes, it's funny because she's 4, but it's also like not funny because she's 4, right? Like,
how do you feel about Lil Tay?
Who's Lil Tay?
You don't know who Lil Tay
I
is?
love Cardi B. I don't know who Lil Tay is. Who's Lil Tay?
Lil Tay is kind of out of the news now because they found that it's a hustle. She's a 9-year-old Asian girl from Vancouver? Is that where it's from? And she talks mad shit, throws money around, calls everybody bitches and haters.
That's my point.
Bitches.
Like, this is considered, like, funny. It's, like, entertaining,
Yeah.
like, the fact that, and we're okay with that, and so parents are pushing their kids to be more outrageous because there's a way that they can make it.
Right.
So, to
Here
me,
it is.
it's like...
Lil Tay spotted hanging out with Rick Rubin.
It's like...
It's not over. It's not over yet.
It's not over.
Rick Rubin. Oh, she looks... Look, she's
like, how old is she?
She's
She
got
looks like
double fingers. Oh, those are her hooks. She's got the horns up, and she's got a G-Wagon in front of her.
It's just like the Cash Me Outside girl.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So we don't talk about any of that. We don't talk about the fact that we no longer focus on family. We no longer focus on religion. Doesn't mean to be that everyone needs to be religious, but there's structure in religion, right? There's structure in me when I grew up, and my grandpa used to make us read the Bible around the table. There was some structure to that, and lessons and prayers that, and then there's this mass, the Facebook, the snapping, the Instagram, the Twitter. It's like we've changed the world and expected children to stay the same of it, and nobody talks about it. So instead they say it's the gun's fault. We need stricter gun legislation, but the entire world has shifted. We're not talking about those changes, the dynamic of the world that has shifted. So I just hold a different position. I think it starts with family. It starts with structure. I think we need religion back. I think that needs to stop being such a dirty word. It needs to stop being mocked roundly by the media. Like, it shouldn't be funny, when Joy Behar, says something about Jesus and the whole audience giggles. That's weird.
She says something about Mike Pence being mentally ill.
Yeah, because he talks to Jesus.
Right.
Think about how weird that is, right? Like, how weird that the stuff that we would be normal, like, praying, talking to Jesus. Like, when I grew up, that was like my grandparents' generation. Everyone was religious, and now we're so far away from that, right? That seems like it's okay to mock, and we roundly mock it all the time. So the structure in the home is, in my opinion, the most important thing that needs to change. The fact that so many people are growing up without fathers in the home is something that needs to change. Letting your kid have a Facebook account when they're 7, right? Like, there's just too much. It's the information age, but what information are they downloading?
Well, I definitely think that people need structure. I definitely think that people need family and community and all those good things. But when it comes to religion, it's like, which one is right?
That's not about being right.
All of them?
It's not about being
anyone?
right. It's not about being
What
right.
about,
Yeah, it
what
doesn't.
about Scientology?
No, like, there's not.
Okay?
I'm going to be honest. I know nothing about Scientology, so I'm not. I know that people hate Scientology. That's all I know about it.
Created by a science fiction writer.
Okay.
And it's all nonsense.
Right.
That's all you need to know.
Okay. Yeah. So
it's one of the dumbest religions of all time. If
Okay.
you read like what they
they're
stand for,
advocating
what they're all about. Leah Remini, who was in it for years.
Yeah, I didn't watch her series.
She'd been on my podcast, and she explained her journey into it and what happened with it, and when she started to question it. And there's a whole thing. There's a what is the fucking HBO documentary? It's also the book, the HBO on Scientology, the Lawrence Wright, Going Clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read the book and I watched the documentary.
It's like so crazy.
Well,
I know nothing about it besides like Tom Cruise. I'm gonna be honest. I'm totally ignorant.
Yeah. It's for some people. Here's the thing. For some people, it's structure and it's helpful.
Right.
Ideologies are helpful sometimes because they give you like a format to live your life by, or scaffolding to keep your moral beliefs inside of these boundaries, and it helps you get ahead and you have purpose and decision making. But at the end of the day, it's a cult.
Right, yeah.
And there's a lot of them.
Right.
There's a lot of different ones. So
Yeah.
how do you decide?
It's not about deciding. It's just that there's something that comes from, I think, just learning certain lessons. It doesn't need to be. I'm not saying that we all need to like
from
structure. Like the Bible used to be taught in school objectively. It would be taught by people that were not practicing Christians, right? Used to be taught in school objectively because there's still lessons that are timeless in these Bible stories. It's nothing to do with whether or not you don't need to then say, oh, and then we go to church and then we pray in school and all that stuff. You can almost extract that and try to teach these lessons objectively. But what kids are learning now is like how to be an anarchist. Like, feminism 101, and you're like actually fostering an angry culture by telling them at every turn if they should be outraged. We are in outrage culture, and then you're surprised when somebody does something outrageous.
Right.
It's a little bizarre to me. It's
Well,
like everything should piss you off,
that.
everything should make you angry, everything should make you upset, everything is unjust, everything is oppressed. And I don't know why this kid didn't just show up at school. Why was he so angry? Like, it's like we're weird. It's like we're weirdly fake. And no one wants to have the conversation. The shooting happens, and everyone wants to talk about the NRA, and then David Hogg is back on the news.
Jordan Peterson has some interesting ideas about religion and the fundamental beliefs and the lessons that are learned from things like the Bible and how they apply to human life and that our own belief systems. Without them, without these sort of structures and belief systems, is one of the things that leads civilization astray. And it's done that before, and things go awry.
Well, I actually had this debate with Charlie, and I did a panel down in D.C., and we were talking about whether, the reintroduction of God and teaching him to school. And I said, at some point, there seems to be this struggle. I have this idea that, human beings, in a certain way, we're doomed to just keep repeating history. I'm obsessed with Greek mythology. I'm obsessed with Egyptian history, hieroglyphics, anything that where they tell stories, especially Greek mythology, because the lessons are there and we just keep doing it, right? Greed, lust, the things that human beings fall for, right? So I had this idea when we were talking, because Charlie is an evangelical Christian. I'm not, right? I believe in
This super smart guy is an evangelical Christian.
Yes.
So does he believe Jesus came back to life?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, he's an evangelical Christian.
So he believes that someone died,
Yeah.
and then 3 days later,
Yeah.
they came back to life, and that they walked on water.
Yeah, you have to. I haven't really gotten into it because I'm not the person that should ever be debating or talking about religion. It's not my shtick, I guess. But so what I said to him, because me and him both believe that in many ways the reason that the government has the media has started roundly dissing God, right, and dissing Jesus Christ, is because the government wants to be God, right? So if people
Wait a minute. Do you think the media is responding to the government's suggestion? Is that what you think? The reason why people are going after religion is because the media is responding to some sort of orders from the government?
Not orders. That's wrong. So it's
directive?
No. But Andrew Breitbart said that politics is downstream from culture, right? So, and you can argue that they feed into each other, whatever it is. But there's definitely something between culture and politics that is linked, inextricably linked. When everyone's on the same page, so if the government wants to get bigger, which it has been doing, right, and wants people to look to them for answers, which it has been doing, you have to understand they have to sort of destroy everything else that they would potentially be looking to for answers, right? So instead of when you're down and out, and people would just go to church and pray, right, or believing in your family or the family structure, they need to know that no matter what, you think the government is the answer. That is what a leftist, at the end of the day, the left believes the government can fix all of their problems. And I find, especially when I speak to all these leftists, they do not believe in religion. There's just a thing. It's a trend I've noticed. I'm not religious. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with it, but leftists tend to be really apart from religion. So the argument could definitely be made that the destruction of believing in the Bible, of stop teaching the Bible, is because you want to make it so that every time you have a problem, because you're still our soul, we still need to believe in something. We're naturally beings that we need to believe that something can fix something. I really believe that it's the reason why we go get our palms read. Right? We just there's something else. Somebody has the answer. And people are starting to believe it's government in America.
Well,
and it freaks me out.
I agree with you that people like structure, and I agree with you that people without religion try to find that structure and those rules and other things.
Correct.
But I don't believe that this is some calculated
move
by the government.
Not calculated,
I think it's human nature. I think it's human nature.
But it could shift, yeah.
Well, we
it
want
could be
a daddy.
Again. Yeah.
We want someone to tell us what to do. And if that daddy is the government, or if that daddy is aliens, whatever the fuck it is, people need something.
Someone. And I agree with you. That's why I argued with Charlie, because then he said, the government, now we have to go back to religion. And then I said, okay, but Charlie, but then we could actually recreate all the terrible stuff that happened with religion when religion became daddy. So we might just be going government, religion, government, religion, government. You know what I mean?
Well,
just swinging the pendulum.
Amounts of corruption in both. There's
exactly.
Massive amounts of corruption
and that's
in religion.
and that's what I believe. Yeah. So I think that we could say that we need to start reintroducing these things, but then we could just end up with the extreme again, where there's massive corruption in the church. Now everyone's placing all the emphasis in the church. So then I just said, wow, we're just doomed.
I don't think we're doomed. Mark Twain had a great line: "History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes."
Interesting. Go on.
That's a great quote.
Yeah,
Mark Twain
it's
was
great.
a bad
It's great.
motherfucker. Duncan told me that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It often rhymes. That's the quote.
I think it
fully.
repeats itself fully.
It may.
Like all of the science there. I'm like, we could literally just read this all in the Bible. We could read this all in Greek mythology, and we know what happens. It's our humanity. But is it fixable? No. That's why people think that is society perfectible? Of course, it's not perfectible. There's going to be greed. There's going to be lust. There's going to be. But now we're in this culture where it's like he cheated on his wife. This is.
Humans are different than we used to be, and if we keep moving in this direction, we're going to improve. We're going to continue to improve. I think the
we'll find a new
longing
set of
that
problems. That's what I
maybe
think.
Queen's cynical.
It's not cynical. It's just.
A little bit.
But there's just always.
During your lifetime, perhaps, but the idea is that we're moving to a greater good.
Yeah.
We're moving towards a greater good that someday our children will enjoy. And that we are in a better situation than our grandparents were, our grandchildren will be in a better situation than us, and we're constantly moving towards improvement. And this is the reason why we're so dissatisfied with racism and sexism and homophobia and hate and all the bullshit that we see in the world that can be prevented. We think that if we can shun that and shame that and push it out of our culture, that someday in the future we'll have gotten past this and evolved to the point where we as a culture and we as a civilization will be something that we are proud of. And we're not proud of what we are now with school shootings and people dependent on Oxycontins and 7-year-olds on Facebook and Lil Tay flashing cash in front of a G-Wagon. There's a lot of shit that's wrong.
Over-medicating children. That's another thing nobody wants to talk about, over-medicating children. Like, when I was a kid, a 6-year-old was bouncing off the walls, we just said you were hyper. Today, it's like, give him Adderall.
Yeah, no, it's not good.
What is...
It's not good.
I literally, I used to babysit a kid, and, the mom would give them Adderall. He was 6 years old. She's like, I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm like, he might be a kid. You know, and that's another conversation. He's got energy.
They just don't want to. I have kids. When kids are going crazy and you're tired, it's fucking hard.
Yeah, but you don't medicate them, and it's bizarre. And then they say, oh well, if something's wrong with him, he's in school and he's not, performing as well. He's not paying attention. Maybe he's just not interested.
Yeah.
Maybe he'd rather be outside.
Well, I remember that very well, and I remember thinking when I was in school, I am never going to tell my kids that they have to pay attention to some fucking boring shit.
Right, or assume that something's wrong with them. Maybe you want them to pay attention, but assume that there's something wrong with them if they don't is what's crazy to me. They assume there's something wrong with their child and that they need medicine because they're not paying attention to math problems on the board for an hour. That's what's scary to me. It's like parents are just out of touch.
Sit down. The whole thing is unnatural.
Right, it is.
Unnatural.
I totally agree with you. I am so anti, and you see that. There's this famous Kanye quote where he says when you see a 5-year-old, they have so much energy, but they have so much confidence and so much passion in everything that they do. They think they can be anything, right? They can be a dancer or a singer. They'll try to do flips, and then go find an 11-year-old after they've been socialized in school. They're that spark just dies in them, and it's because they're literally being put through a system that tells them that they can't. Well, this girl got a 90 on her test and you got an 80, so something must be, you're not getting this, right? Well, maybe math is just not her thing, right? Maybe she's not as good at math as somebody else. I think everybody has their own pieces of brilliance, and that the current education system does not foster to those to individualism. They're actually trying to create a collectivist society by being able to measure, a kid's brilliance by standardized testing. Something Charlie and I very much disagree.
Yeah, I don't think they're necessarily doing that, but what they are is uninspired and underpaid, and they're boring. Yeah. And kids go to their classes and they're bored out of their fucking mind. They have to get this stupid grade so they can keep going.
Yeah, I was so bored. I was so those personality types.
Well, you got a lot of energy. I would imagine
and I'm just like, what am I doing? And I always felt like they were stupid. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is this teacher even smarter than? Can we take a test, just a quick IQ test to see if I should even have to take a class from someone who's actually dumber than me? I remember having those thoughts in high school, just being like, these teachers aren't even smart sometimes.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
The good news is that from that you get this dissatisfaction, this feeling of just not wanting to be a part of this anymore, and then you start seeking other ways to make a living, other ways to get.
For me, I got on YouTube and I started talking about stuff, and people responded to it.
So how did you go full-blown conservative? You've been to the White House.
Yes, I have.
How the fuck have you been to the White House? You were conservative for 2 years.
I know.
2 years ago,
this is why some conservatives
you're talking
hate
shit online.
I know.
Well, I'm telling you, it's because you're like a conservative wet dream.
I know. It fosters a little bit of jealousy, but I'm like,
sure.
Dude, this is I believe in this so much that I wish we could stop that, because I'm like, no, let's change the paradigm. Like, let's get Trump to do the Joe Rogan show as opposed to saying, you know what I mean? Like, but people don't see things that way. It's all about me, ego comes out, you know? So, but anyways, so I met Charlie. That was a huge thing that happened. I was speaking at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. Look, Charlie's 24. You could ask why he's flying around with the first family too, but when you meet him, you understand. He's just absolutely brilliant. We just wanted to do this together. I met him and I said, look, I think that there needs to be a black revolution against the Democratic Party. I think I'm the person to lead it. Like, I'm your girl. And I was speaking on a panel with Dave Rubin about why I left the left and what I understood about the left, and he hired me on the spot, and the rest is sort of history, you know? I mean, that's really it. I work my ass off. The one thing that...
So who hired you? Who's
Charlie Kirk. He actually runs Turning Point USA. Even I know he's like so young. It's insane, and you should look him up and figure out who he is, because he's, in my opinion, he's going to be a future president of the United States. And everyone says that. Every show he's been on in Fox says, like, very rarely do you meet, like Rush Limbaugh just said, very rarely do you meet someone and think that's going to be a president of the United States. Charlie Kirk will be a president of the United States.
Yeah, but Rush is probably on like 18 different kinds of pills when he said that shit.
I know. He said it
Fistful
so many
of
times.
Oxycontins,
Yeah.
chewing them down.
Yeah. But yeah,
Is he clean now? How's Rush doing? Is he clean now?
I didn't even know that he was not clean.
He took 100 pills a day.
That's scary to me.
Oh, he went deaf.
That
He went
is-
deaf from taking pills.
That's
Do you understand
insane.
this? Yeah, he got to get a fucking.
I won't
sort of
even
an
take
ear
Tylenol.
implant.
Like, I don't even, like, I'm just like.
You know who told me that, by the way? Fair warning. Alex Jones. He explained to me the mechanism of Rush Limbaugh going deaf from taking pills. So Rush, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
Right. I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah.
See, find out if it's true. It's true? Oh, that he went deaf from taking pills? Yeah, then holla.
Wikipedia never lies. Look up mine.
Exactly. Me and Brian Callen are we're brothers and sisters or something.
But yeah, so I've worked incredibly hard. I feel like I haven't slept since last year. I'm traveling every day.
You seem like a politician, but not 100%.
Like, I'm not. And that's
Give
what
it a
bothers me.
little
Is
bit.
people ask me when they're like, Candace, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm not I'm just a girl who talks about stuff that I believe in, and people view me as a politician. I don't
Does it say
understand.
some of the pills though? Pull that article. I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt.
No, you're
Pull that
fine.
article on the screen.
Why?
Does
Like
it say
why?
it's from the
But what about me seems like a politician? This is what I don't get. I'm like,
You're a little bit polished. You've got a little bit of a sort of a you've said these things before.
What?
And a lot of the things you're saying, you're very good at it. You've got a well-oiled path. It's a nice groove in your brain where you know how to say these things. And then occasionally you pop out of it and you're just plain Candace.
Yeah.
But when you're like, I'm going to lead Black America, I'm going to go against the Democrats.
I believe that.
I believe you
Yeah.
believe it. I believe you believe it.
That's
But
the
I also
plan.
believe you said it many, many times.
what I just said to you?
Yes.
Yeah, I told you. I told this to
Yes.
Charlie Kirk in November. I'm
Right.
like, this is what I want to do. This is my plan. So I'm just a person that's going after my goal. And then as I start accomplishing it, people are just like throwing shade and hate. And I'm like, dude, like now
What
it's turned into like
What has been the shade and the hate that you think is
like
unwarranted?
like okay. So well, first off, like let's not pretend like we can talk about social justice like warriors on the left. We have them on the right too. Let's not pretend we don't have the people that like. They can't, like, as soon as I got to 100,000 YouTube followers, every YouTuber suddenly was like, who is this deep dive? And then they came with the, like, she created social stuff because she wanted to dox my, like, the most bizarre, I have YouTubers that are looking up, like, has she ever dated a black guy? Like, the most absurd, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, can we just all, like, just peacefully coexist?
So
like,
what would be the
I call
issue?
it game of conservatives.
Have you ever dated a black guy?
Yes, of course I dated black
No,
guys.
no, I'm not asking you. I'm just saying, like, what would be the issue?
What would be the article? I know. I'm like, what is the article going to
What
read?
if you had the same boyfriend from high school and he happened to be white?
Yeah.
Would that be a problem?
It would be a big problem. It would be an article, that's for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But they just start like digging in, and I'm just like, guys, I'm just working hard. And if you want to know what my strategy is, I don't make videos about you guys. I make videos about what I care about. I have a brand. I define my brand. Your brand is just going after people, and that's not a brand at all.
There is a weird thing on YouTube where they have these little communities of
Yes.
people and they attack each other in the communities.
Yes.
Have you ever seen the vegan hate videos where they go after each other?
But yeah, it was like banana. What's it, banana girl or something?
Yeah, there's a few of
or
them.
freely or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah,
I've heard about it. But I
It's
didn't see.
fucking
Okay,
crazy.
I call YouTube like YouTube High. Like it's like I was like the new girl who shut up.
Yeah, but they're like 40.
Yeah, and I know that's what's weird, but like I was like the new girl who shut up and like was a
from another
cheerleader.
school.
Yeah, I like captain of the cheerleading team all
And
of a
you were
sudden.
like 16, you weren't
Yeah,
even 14.
and they were like,
Yeah, fuck her.
yeah,
No.
YouTubers hate me. They hate
Well,
me.
they
Yeah. And I'm like,
people-
I was like, I don't want to be a YouTuber. I just plugged my content on YouTube.
That's even worse.
Hoping, and then now I really hate me.
Now
Yeah.
they get mad.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That's just like totally weird, but it's fine because I never run into them because they don't have there's no brand
Well, they
here.
don't go outside.
I really don't think they go outside, but there's
Some
no
of them
brand
do.
if you
But
don't.
if they see you, they run back inside and make another YouTube video.
yeah.
Okay,
It's bizarre. So
Yeah.
there's YouTube High, then you have what I call Game of Conservatives. It's like dun 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 dun, dun, like they're all like racing for the throne, and I feel like I'm like guys like. There's like White Walkers at the wall, like the left is trying to like turn this into communist America. Can we not compete for like the egos that like it's
So you
it's
think
ego
you're helping save America?
Like, I genuinely believe that like right now is the only time that we have to save this country. I genuinely
Right
believe
now?
that. Like we're at the I think if Donald Trump did not win the election, we would have lost America. I genuinely
Lost it, too.
lost it. Like Hillary, the globalist initiative, just this like they were like communists. Like it just to me, I really believe that this is an opportunity to sort of like we're like the last stand for Western civilization. Look what's going on in Europe. It's like insane, and people don't understand that. I'm like, what is going on in Europe right now is like Europe's done. Like did you watch the PragerU video like Europe has committed suicide or whatever it was called?
No, but I had Douglas Murray on the podcast, and he was trying to explain to me his book, The Strange Death of Europe.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
he did a PragerU video on that too.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's
Very
real.
interesting.
Like they've
Yeah.
lost Europe, and the last stand for Western civilization is America. And then you have people that are competing for egos. I'm like, guys, no, like there's White Walkers at the point.
But I don't understand how you think that we're almost losing America, and there's a battle for America. Like,
I
in
really
what
feel
way?
that, like just in every regard, in terms of just the people that were running, like Hillary Clinton. Like this woman was a globalist. Like just think about who we were in bed with, like Saudi Arabia, selling all of our uranium to Russia. Like Trump came in and was like, no, like America, people, we were the gap, like we lost them, we're losing the middle class. The gap between the rich and the poor was like literally.
And what do you think's causing that?
Policies, shipping all of our jobs overseas, the regulation, the government getting bigger and bigger. You can't do anything as an entrepreneur in America without a piece of paper from the government, discouraging people with this piece of paper, like shutting down the factories, forgetting that there's something, there's a little land between New York and LA, believe it or not. And this is what Trump understood. We were losing that. And Trump appealed to those people. I'm still floored. Like, as I'm traveling the world and seeing different pieces of the country, I'm learning how ignorant I was. And that's the best thing in the entire
what
world.
way?
Just, I fell victim to the idea that, it was progress. We have to care about the environment. It was progress. And it's like, no, we've been losing. America has been losing. And Donald Trump understood that in a way that I didn't. And I thought...
think we have to care about the environment?
Not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit?
No. Okay, let me clarify this. I don't throw trash on the ground. I'm not saying, we need to, trash the environment. But do I believe in climate change? No.
You don't believe in climate change?
No. I think the climate always changes, I guess is what I should say. Do I believe that this is an issue that is being, that is global warming, which they've changed conveniently. They got rid of the word once scientists started disproving it. Now they only say climate change. No, I think that was just a way to extract dollars from Americans. I don't at all believe. They had no actionable plan. It was great for Trump to get out of that deal. It was terrible.
Okay, but this is an incredibly complicated subject.
Right.
And if you would have to talk to a bunch of different scientists and see how they gather data and see what they understand about CO2 levels and what's the danger of them and what can combat it, what could not. Have you done all this, or
No,
do you
so I
take
think-
this flippant opinion
It's
based on
listen,
the
I'm
party
not,
line?
this wouldn't be the hill I died on, right? But it's not about the party. I just genuinely, I've read a ton about it, but
What
I
have
would
you
not
read?
be able to come to you and say, this is my strong opinion. But here's, the easiest way to say this, right?
Okay.
The fact that there is a disparity in the science community about whether or not it's real is enough to...
It's very little.
Yep.
Very little disparity.
But-
Most scientists, the vast majority, agree that human beings are negatively affecting climate change.
Yeah,
The vast majority.
yeah, I just don't think so.
So you think that the very few scientists that disagree with the
Yeah.
consensus are the ones that are correct?
Well, I think if something is, it's either subjective or it's objective, and there are objective truths, right? But it's subjective if you're saying that there are some, and I don't think there's very little. There are some that don't get paid to go on TV. There's some that are not Bill Nye, who are not funded scientists, and that has been a whole.
Well, Bill Nye's not a scientist.
I know.
He's not. He's
And it broke my heart when I found out.
science
Mouthpiece.
propagandist.
But that's the point.
He's
And
a science. No, that's not a good word.
I don't think Al
mean
Gore is a
propaganda negative.
scientist.
He's not.
Right.
But Bill Nye is like a science influencer or
Right.
a science entertainer.
Yeah, he's like a.
But he doesn't have a background in actual science. He's not a scientist.
Right.
He doesn't have a PhD. He's got an
I learned about him in
undergraduate.
school. Everything I did
Yeah.
in science had to do with Bill Nye.
Well,
the science
he
guy.
promotes science, and
Right.
science is not bad.
Yeah.
But the real problem is with climate change is that, for sure, there has been ups and downs throughout the history of this planet. They're observable. They follow them in. I mean, this is one of the subjects that I had earlier today with Dr. Robert Schoch. In 2014, the vast majority, 87% of scientists, said that human activity is driving global warming, yet only half the American public ascribe to that view. So
Well, what website is this?
87%, and this is,
Scientific American.
yeah.
Yeah, .com though, like, because that means it's making money. I don't trust that. If it was a .org, I would probably take that, but this is just a random website, and
Well,
I don't trust
Scientific
it.
American is not necessarily a random website.
Yeah, I don't believe this like at all. Just so you know,
You don't believe it like at all?
I genuinely don't believe it. I know you do, but I genuinely don't believe it.
I
Like,
believe most of the
87%?
time the consensus of scientists
We need
that are
100
studying
divisions.
data.
Right.
And so what they're doing is
But you
studying.
remember all of the stories that came out about the scientists that said that when they tried to present their evidence to show, like they were basically just getting shut down at every corner? You can pull that up too, like scientists who
mean?
like, look up the opposite, right? Instead of looking for what
Well,
you're
wait a
searching
minute,
for,
but
looking for what
why-
you're not looking for.
I didn't search for it. That's what I found when I
Oh,
searched
sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, look up,
But
look
this
up.
is my question.
Yeah.
Why are you so sure? This is a
No,
extremely,
because what you just said- because
but
what you
this is
just
an
said-
extremely complicated subject.
And it is. I said I am not so sure that I would die on the hill for it. My opinion right now, and is just that it was a means, because forget the fact of whether you believe global warming is real. Let's say it's 100% real. Let's say we know for a fact it's real. Is there a way?
Well, let's be clear.
Yeah.
Global warming, climate change is definitely real. It's happening.
Well,
the question
but
is
it's
why
always
is it happening?
happened.
Yes, it has always happened.
So what is the
The real-
climate change? Yes, the climate changes. It was different weather yesterday than it was today. The climate is forever changing. Like that's the problem, is that people are making it seem like that's something weird.
No,
it's
no,
not
no, that's
unique.
not. You're misrepresenting the issue. The issue is people think that human beings are exacerbating climate
Right.
change to the point where there's a tipping point. We cross over that tipping
Right.
point. We're going to deal with huge problems that could be corrected if we act now and put a lot of funding into climate control.
Okay.
And this is what Howard Bloom was on talking about a few days ago. He was talking about that the real future involves the technology of climate control, and that what we have to be really careful of is letting it get too far where you can't ever stop it and pull it back. This is what scientists are
Right.
warning about. This is why they want emission standards. This is why they want to figure out how to get people to be aware of the fact that this is a real issue.
Okay.
Now, irregardless, human beings, if they never existed, the Earth has constantly gone through cycles. The question is not whether or not the Earth has gone through cycles of cooling and warming.
Right.
The question is, are we exacerbating that? The vast majority of scientists say we are.
Okay.
Now, this could negatively impact all sorts of coastal cities. This could be a gigantic problem. This is not like propaganda that's drummed up by some sort of big business that seeks to make money off of this, or some sort of a
Well, they were
organization.
making money off of it.
Al Gore might have made some money off
No,
of
but
it,
like
who's making money
the
off
agreement
of
that
it?
we were in, they were that was like the amount of money that America was losing. But here's what I was going to ask you. So let's
Wait a minute, the amount of money America was losing? Who was
in the
America?
Paris Agreement. Because this is the reason why we
Okay.
wanted to get out of the Paris
Agreement
Agreement.
is-
but that's what I wanted to get to.
There's
So let's say we all
arguments about
agree
the
that
Paris
global
Agreement.
warming is real. I don't believe it's real. Okay, so I can't
But
sit
why?
here.
But
I
here's the
can't.
question.
I can't.
But why have a belief?
What do you mean?
Why have a belief as to whether or not global warming is real or not real?
Because
If
I
you
just-
don't
I
have
just
a
find that
background
when
in
things-
it, you don't
you're
understand
correct.
the science.
You're correct.
But why have a belief in it?
Right. So it's not a belief. It's not a belief in it. I don't believe in it. I
But
know
that's what
it's
I'm
not a
saying.
belief.
But you have a belief that it doesn't exist.
Right. I personally think that this was just the fact that it was presented to us by Al Gore, and it's just, it
Well,
was
it's not presented to us just by Al Gore.
Right.
Al Gore made a film,
Right.
and he's been called like the first green billionaire.
Yeah.
He's made a shitload of money off
yeah,
of that.
and he flies in his private plane because he's so worried about the emissions. Okay.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
there's something hilarious about that.
all
but,
of the people that are
but
telling
he's
us.
a fucking politician.
Right.
You know, there's grossness to all that stuff.
Right.
Right.
And that's what worries me. So my question is, let's say that it's real.
Okay.
Let's just assume, like that's the best way to
Let's
have
say
the
it's
debate.
real.
Let's say it's 100% real.
Okay.
Do you feel that you have found in your research that there is something that human beings can do that would change this all around?
It's possible, yes. One of the things that they're figuring out how to pull carbon out of the atmosphere and even possibly reuse it. There's all sorts of things that people are trying to do. I mean, we had, what was the young man who made that device? Boyan Slot. He figured out a way to make this device that pulls plastic out of the oceans. They're figuring out a way to, I mean,
That's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
well, because plastic just can't, over time. But that's what I mean. So when I say that I'm, I believe in recycling. I'm not a person that's this is all, but the idea that the government is just going to take trillions of dollars because we're in some agreement where we're all agreeing that we should do something is useless. And look, from the stuff, there's obviously a lot of debate here, and as I said, I'm not so, the one thing you'll always find with me is I'll never pretend to be so educated on something. I'm not going on a college campuses talking about global warming. I don't do that.
Right, but why are you saying that you don't think it exists,
I don't know, maybe because it got
Here it is.
maybe because it got so politicized.
Studies into scientific agreement on human-caused global warming, and look at all the studies. It's between 100% and 91% at the lowest. 91% of one of the studies from 2014.
This is the Union of Concerned Scientists.
Yeah, they almost. It's a pretty broad consensus.
Who are they polling? Is it the people that are a part of this .org? That's what I'm asking.
10,306 scientists to confirm over 97% of climate scientists agree, and over 97% of the scientific articles find that global warming is real and largely caused by humans.
Right.
So my question to you is, if you want to step outside of the scientific consensus, which is vast and involves 10,306 scientists, and just say, I don't believe in it, even if you're right, you don't have enough information to say that.
Right. No, but that's what I said. This is the whole
point. But you're
point.
saying you don't believe it.
I don't. Yeah, I would have to have someone sit down and convince me that it was real. I personally don't believe it. That's okay.
But why?
It's good to start at a place of not believing something.
No, it's not.
You think you should start with believing everything?
No, it's not believe either or. Not believe yes, not believe no.
Yeah.
But don't say you don't believe.
Yeah.
Learn about it.
Yeah.
Learn about it and then have an opinion. But you're stating this opinion without having any real understanding of what climate science is.
But that's exactly what an opinion is. I'm not going, like I said, if you said that, Candace, you went on to 10,000 college campuses and you said that global warming wasn't real, then we'd have a problem. You and I are just having a conversation.
Yeah, but why have an opinion on something that you don't have data about? This is my question. I don't necessarily have an opinion on climate science. I really don't. Because I don't know much about it. But what I do know is that what I've read is that the vast majority of people who study it are in agreement that human beings are affecting it.
So I just my recall on a lot of things that I read, and this was a while ago, so this is when I first formed my opinion on not believing this, I read a shit ton of articles. Can't recall the data because, like I said, this wasn't something I was super passionate about. It was somebody posted something, and then I went on a tear reading about it. But it was essentially just noting that in a lot of these studies, when you go and if we had time to sit down and really pull this up, they're polling, 10,000 scientists that are within a community that is these .orgs. Do you believe in everything that MediaMatters.org puts out for statistics? Right, that's a political arm of the Democratic Party.
Talking about a different subject.
I know, but
but politics versus science.
But this has been politicized. That's the
Science
thing.
has been politicized.
Yes, it has. Global warming in particular has been politicized. 100% it has been politicized. Right, that's the whole reason I fell down this dark hole one night reading about it, and I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I don't really care.
It has been politicized, but I think that's also maybe why you're saying you don't agree with it so quickly.
Right.
Because it's an ideological right-wing point.
Right.
Is that global warming isn't real.
Right.
If you're one of those people that thinks global warming isn't real, you're almost always on the right.
Right. And that's fine, but I'm telling you that, again, I didn't do a deep dive on all of this because I read about it because it was at a forefront of discussion, so I read about it all night, and my conclusion was that they started pulling up all of these studies, and the person that, did this that I did a deep dive on, and they started showing how, these community of scientists were, in fact, somewhere behind that .org as someone that was being funded. So to me, the issue got too politicized for me to believe that global warming was something that was going to wipe out the world. Now,
scientists get funded. That is a fact.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that the funding affects the scientific research and the data, which they all agree on. And this is universally across the entire planet.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of scientists would not stake their reputation on false data. What they're saying is not that the only reason why the world is getting warm is because human beings. That the only reason why the climate isn't totally static for the rest of eternity is because of human beings. What they're saying is we are negatively impacting our own environment, and we're doing it because we have poor technology and we use coal and fossil fuels and emissions, and we're raising our CO2 levels, and this is based on data. And this is something that you can look at. You can look at the data and follow where they're getting this information from, and follow how they're making these conclusions, and follow the vast majority of these brilliant people who study this shit their whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And if I was a person that was putting forth policy on climate change, or if I was a person that put out my opinion publicly on climate change, I would do all of that. I'm just not.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that you are a very smart person, and people listen to you, and they're going to listen to you for a long time.
But this is what I hate. This is what I hate. Because then it's like, Candace, you have to have a formed opinion on everything.
No, you don't have to have a formed opinion on everything. What you do have to have is the ability to know when you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
But I just said that. I said that to you the entire time. I said this would. I said I don't believe it. And then you asked me, and I said this wouldn't be the hill I chose to die on because I don't. I don't
follow it. Why
even
say you don't believe in it?
Because I just personally, if you.
How about not have a belief until you really have looked at the
you
data?
would prefer if my language, as opposed to admitting that I do not know this, I wouldn't die in this hill, I've never made a video, I've never made a public statement. You would have preferred if I had just started by saying, I have no opinion.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. You say
but
I don't.
I said I didn't know.
No, you say I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it. You're saying really clearly that you don't think it's real.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it would be the same if I said to you, like, do you believe in God? Right.
No, I would say I don't know.
You would say so. That's I feel like this is sort of like linguistics, though.
No, I would say I don't know.
Okay.
I always say I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm agnostic.
Most people say like I believe it or I don't, right? So it's like if you say.
I think a lot of people say they don't know.
Okay, I think believe is definitely a word that's associated with God, but
right.
So
a lot of people
if I say like,
they don't
but
know
if you
if
say
they
I don't believe in God, and then somebody starts saying, oh, you need to form it, it's like, I just don't believe in it.
No, you don't, because God is not scientific data.
Right.
There's a big difference between measuring the CO2 levels in the atmosphere and deciding whether or not there's an afterlife.
Right. I'm sorry that I just don't believe. I don't believe in global warming. I'm happy to.
You're allowed to not believe in it.
That's all I've been trying to say. Is I don't believe in it, but I have not.
You're an influencer.
Yeah,
and you're a very bright person.
But if somebody had asked me, like at a place where I'm influencing on a college campus, what's your opinion? I would say I have none.
I bet you would say I don't believe in it, like you just did.
That is absolutely not.
But you
that's
just
not
did
true.
it.
There are so many instances where you could watch this, just like, and you can ask Dave Rubin when he asks me a question. I say I don't have an opinion on it.
About a different subject,
but yeah, because you and I are having a conversation one-on-one. I'm not sitting here to try to. I don't go on campus talking about global warming because I don't have an opinion on it. But if you press me and ask me if I believe in it, no, I don't really believe in it. But could I go deep dive and learn that perhaps I'm wrong? Sure. I personally am inclined to believe that a lot of those studies are manipulated. As I said, during the one night that I did deep dive on it, and when they showed like all the pieces of of evidence or whatever, it just seemed a little shady, and I felt that it was politicized. But I think that I have a right to say that I don't believe in something, but that I also don't know, and that's what I said to you. I don't believe in it, but I wouldn't die on this hill. I don't know enough about it.
You did say you wouldn't die on this hill.
Yeah.
But you also said you don't believe in it, and you stated the reason why, because you think it's a scam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth. What do you want me to do? You want me to lie to you?
No, it's okay, but I'm not
sitting here
saying
like
it's a complicated issue. It's
but
very complicated.
It may be complicated. That's fine. But what do you want me to lie to you and say? I'm not a politician. You want me to? You should the correct term. Like I feel like this is like the editing that people do. Like when they're like, oh, Obama, if they ask you a question, you don't know. This is the way. I'm not running for office. I'm answering. Right. I'm talking to you. I don't believe in it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
I can't be fake. This is my number one problem in life is I can't be fake, and I know that you're pressing me here and that you want me to adjust and to say like I do not have an opinion or but I'm not like a politician. I'm telling you I don't believe in it. Could I change my perspective and believe in it a year after I read stuff?
If you were just a regular person, you said I don't believe in it, I'd probably go, all right. The problem is you're not. You're a very influential person.
But I'm aware when I'm on stage, when I'm on my YouTube channel, there's no videos of Candace Owens talking about global warming. I'm aware of that.
There is now.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's going to be Joe Rogan and Candace going, don't worry. Exactly.
And people are going to be mad at me.
It's weird because
you're fucking global warming shill. Global warming.
You know what's funny though is that like, this feels so like we're not on the internet right now. That it's like I still don't feel like we're on the internet. This is the problem, yeah. But like if you and I were on a college campus, I'd be like, eh. Yeah. I'm not really sure. I don't have to inform my discussion.
I don't know jack shit about global warming. I really don't. I think the real fear is not even global warming. The real fear is global cooling. The ice age is the most terrifying thing that can happen to human beings.
Yeah.
When that shit happens, everybody dies.
Yeah, I know.
Global warming, you just move inland.
Yeah, I think that the real thing that people are concerned about is like just beyond any of that stuff. I don't know. I think that there's like more concerns in society. Like I personally think that some scientists started talking about global warming and it got politicized and they figured it was another way to extract human beings' money because of fear. That's my opinion. Okay?
I think there's probably some truth to that. There's
and then they said, we're going to find
people-
our core scientists that agree with everything we say. It's proven that Harvard studies have been incorrect because they were being funded by certain, political interest groups. So I'm not inclined to pull up something on I'm blanking, it'll come back to me in a second, but there were Harvard papers that have been funded by certain researchers that are trying to get a certain political position out, and it causes mass fear. People are willing to spend their money a certain way.
It's entirely possible.
It is, but it's
People
real.
are
That's
flawed.
very real. People are flawed. So I'm not inclined when someone pulls up an article and says, look, 10,000 scientists, I err on the side of, okay, I don't know who those scientists are. I don't know what this organization is funded by, so I'm going to stick by my guns and say I don't really believe in it yet. Now, if I decide that I'm going to run for office and I've got to make a decision on the atmosphere and what we're going to do about global warming and CO2 emissions, you better believe I will be fully ready to discuss it. I'm not going to make a YouTube video and just know the outskirts of it. I don't do that, right? But if you and I are having a discussion, sorry, I don't believe in it. Like, I don't know what to say.
I would say
open to learning.
Okay.
Open to learning. I'm
Okay.
always open to learning. I've been wrong before. I was a liberal 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. So that's not a problem. I'm open to learning, but I'm not gonna pretend say something that feels inauthentic. And what I wanted to say there was I don't believe in it.
It's just one of those things that it's a real right-wing talking point. It's like there's very few people like pro-life is a very right-wing talking point. It's very few, I would imagine. I'm not just guessing, but very few liberals who are also pro-life.
Well, no. So when I first went on Dave Rubin's show, he asked me about that, and I said I don't really know. I'm forming my opinion on it. Just like you and I just said about global warming, I said to Dave Rubin about pro-life and pro-choice. And he was like, this is the first time someone has just said that, just said that I'm forming an opinion on it and didn't feel like the need to get an answer. And I said, I'm not a politician. Same thing I'm saying to you. I can answer how I feel and
sure.
And I'm happy to learn. But
that's a different kind of subject,
right?
Though, right?
But then I wanted to get really educated on it. And I became pro-life, but not because I think people that are pro-choice are awful human beings, who needed to burn in hell, but just because the history of it is really shady with Margaret Sanger, and because I do recognize that it does seem a little off-putting. And I don't say I'm pro-life, but I just say to people that the idea that the left is so pro-choice at the same time that they are running around purporting to Black Lives Matter, it doesn't make any sense when you look at the numbers of black babies never even get the chance to live, and when you look at the numbers and just understanding that 17 million black babies have been exterminated since 1973. So what kind of black lives do you care about? I don't believe that a baby's life starts after 3 months. I think that that's crap. That's scientific crap. And we could probably pull up some articles that say for sure the baby's life does not begin until they're 3 months. Well, we want to know the best indication that the baby's life begins before it, because you have to rip it out of the stomach in order to kill it. If left alone, it would grow into a baby, right? So I've thought about that issue, and now I have a stance on it. And that would be my stance, if I was president of the United States. I don't want to be the president of the United States. Let me say what Trump said.
Say that now.
If I stepped up, if my country needed me, like he said 10 years ago, I would step up and I would do the job, right?
Do you have aspirations?
I promise you, I get this question all the time on the road. Candace, do you want to be in the White House? Do you want to be in the White House? I would love if Charlie Kirk was the president of the United States. I would have fun being the press secretary. I'd be just let him in, let the dogs in. I would it just looks like a fun job because they're so crazy.
What the fuck is wrong with you? That looks like a fun job?
It does, because they're just so crazy. And I would just
Why would that be
you
good?
could have fun at that too, I feel like.
Fuck, I would.
That's what I'm saying. It would be a fun job because
No.
they're so serious and I'm you take yourself seriously, like Jim Acosta, professionally stressed out.
You would be running the government of the greatest empire the world has ever known. You think that would be fun? That doesn't even seem remotely fun.
Yeah, I know. I'm being a little facetious,
Yeah,
but
that seems insanely stressful.
Yeah.
Who's the press secretary now?
Sarah Sanders.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
She crushes it.
She looks stressed out.
Well, I think she's just trying to have a game face. She's just what stupid question am I going to
She
get?
just looks like, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It's one of those things. It's like how far can you swim? Some people can swim for 70 hours.
Yeah.
Nobody can swim forever.
Yeah.
And that's what that job looks like to me.
You just have to swim forever.
Yeah, nobody can swim forever.
Yeah, but I didn't start this because I wanted to get into politics. I started this because I saw a dial that needed to be moved. And
well, you're obviously a very ambitious person. You seem very ambitious.
Listen, I'm good no matter what space I'm in, whether like when I was in private equity, I'm always good at my job. When I put my mind to something, I can do something, and people will be blown away. That's always been my character. And I will do it despite people saying I can't. Like that, to me, my whole to-do list is people telling me I can't. You know, like I don't like when people try to put me in a box. Like I really don't like the whole idea that because you were this, you can't be this. Like it's like I'm always going to decide what's best for me.
Well, this seems like it's what led you to be Republican in the first place.
Right? I'm not Republican.
Well, excuse me, right wing. What are you if you're not Republican?
I'm independent.
You're independent, right wing?
Independent. I would say
you conservative?
I would say I lean right. I definitely lean right because that to me is just if you believe that people are allowed to have different opinions, you lean right. Like literally, that's where we're at right now. Like it's like you're not even allowed to have a dissenting opinion on the
pro
left.
Second Amendment, clearly.
Yes. I just think it's a slippery slope.
Right. Pro-life.
Right.
Anti-global warming. You're checking
but
off
I
all the
wouldn't
boxes.
see like, the anti-global warming thing is like. This is like something that Joe Rogan has forced on me.
No, I
genuinely
we were getting along great up until
yeah,
that.
I know, right? Like this is I have no reason to believe that because some scientists that could very well be funded things are constantly being funded to create a public perception. I very much believe that. I see that. And we see this just in the case of Donald Trump. If you go poll people in California, they're going to say he's a racist, sexist. It's just whatever's put on the internet, people believe as the truth. I like to do a deeper dive. I have not done a deeper dive on global warming, save that one night when I went down a dark hole.
All right, what other like right-wing talking points? Is there any that you don't agree with?
Yes. I don't know if this is like still a thing, but I fully support gay marriage.
Okay, that's
right?
a good one.
And the reason is simple. Like, regardless how people feel about gay marriage, the government has stepped in and is now doing marriage. And the idea that two individuals that are in love should get tax cuts while the other shouldn't it's nonsensical. Just because that doesn't make it. So forget that. I personally don't think the government should have gotten involved in marriages in the first place. But because they have, you can't sit here and decide that two gay men don't get tax cuts and a man and a woman do. That's wrong from a governing perspective.
I agree with you 100%. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one because that's one that gets slippery. Even Caitlyn Jenner isn't in a gay marriage, which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I know.
That one is like,
yeah.
This can't get anywhere.
Yeah, I have cousins that are gay. Like even though despite the fact that they're not, I found them anti-LGBT, which is insane. But I just think that since the government has stepped up and decided it's going to be in it, if it's the governing body, everyone should have a right to the same tax cuts.
Why is the government involved in marriage?
They shouldn't be.
Right.
They shouldn't be. That's the real problem. But nobody talks about that.
How
because
are they involved? In what way?
Well, it's just everything. You have to get married through the government. You get to be saved from the government. It gets recognized by the government. Your tax cut, you can check certain boxes when you do your taxes because you're married. So since the government is doing that, there's no reason why if two guys live in the same house that they should not be allowed to get tax cuts. So the difference it's the separation of the church and the state, right? Well, the state has taken on something that traditionally was in the church, and because the state has, you have to look at it objectively, despite your personal feelings. Look at it objectively, and every person has a right to get a tax cut because they married the person that they love.
Well, I agree. I'm 100% with you on the gay marriage thing. So, what other ones don't you agree with? Is there any other right-wing talking points?
I don't know what the right, but I don't even think about like right-wing talking points.
Build that wall.
Well,
build that wall.
Okay, so first off, the chant's just hilarious, so it's funny, you just jump in it, But so the number one thing, so my whole shtick, the only time I snap back or get upset is because I'm really focused on the black community, dude, and the community that has been affected the most by illegal immigration is the black community. It's just a fact. I mean, you talk about low-wage workers. The people that are the most unemployed in this company are young black men between the ages of 18 and 21, right? So they have been negatively impacted by the influx of people running over the border because they'll come here and they'll say, okay, well, you were going to pay this guy $7, whatever the minimum wage is. We'll do it for less. And that directly impacts the black labor force. So I recognize that we very much have an immigration problem. I think that the immigration, they talk about diversity. It's not diverse whatsoever. Half of the immigrants that we take in are from Mexico. That's making America Mexico. That's a problem. You want to take in some more from Africa? That'd be great. Only 3% come from Africa, or I think 4% last year came from Africa.
It's a tougher commute.
It's a tougher commute, right? But the truth is that the argument that is behind people that are like so pro-immigration and against the wall is that it's about diversity. It's not about diversity. Right? If it's about diversity, let's go look around the country and actually make it diverse. There are tons of people that live in Africa that work their ass off that love an opportunity in America. And we need to work that system out. Just because they have a geo advantage here doesn't make it fair. So I'm I'm pro coming up with a solution for immigration because it's negatively impacting
You sound
the
like
country.
you're running for president, Candace. That's what I'm hearing.
I am not running for president.
I'm hearing people going crazy and chanting. You need a
What would be my
need a
slogan?
logo.
Let's just do it. What would be my slogan?
Make America Great Again's already
No,
taken.
he took it.
You need
It's
another
fair,
one.
yeah.
Keep making America better.
No. Even better.
Even more
Even
badass.
better. Even more better.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, but these are the things that, so anything like, in every situation, you'll see this if you watch like Charlie and I live on campuses when we do this, every situation when I'm asked my opinion, my answer is tailored towards the black community because I just think that we have really gotten this shit end of the stick.
Now,
Right?
do you write a lot of this stuff? A lot of these thoughts out? Are these like,
So I
are they just
read.
locked in your head?
They're locked in my head. I read. I make cards, like to just remember certain
Index
numbers and
cards?
to watch. Yeah, and I just do that like every
Does this
night.
kind of weird you out that a couple of years ago you were a liberal and now you're not just a conservative, but you're on all these fucking cable network shows and
Yeah.
you're constantly talking about it and you're the voice. And a lot of people look at you as like the hope for the future. You get a good-looking 28-year-old woman who's super articulate and smart and you can rattle off facts and statistics and talk real good on camera. We got one. We got a good one. You know, that's what they look. I mean, anyone young and vibrant, that's what every political party looks towards.
Right.
Like, you know, whether it's on the left or on the... I mean, they're constantly looking for somebody on the left. They're looking right now. We need
Right.
someone to go against Trump. We
I don't
need
know who it's
someone...
gonna be,
We need
'cause
someone
it's
good.
looking bleak over
We
there,
need someone
I'll tell you
good.
that much, yeah.
You know, they've the Charlie Booker. We need
Yeah,
someone.
yeah.
We need someone.
Cory
Someone.
Booker's a psychopath.
Corey. Did I say
yeah.
Charlie?
He's
Sorry,
like,
Corey.
he's like an actor.
He's a
It's really
psychopath?
bizarre. He's just an actor. It just doesn't come across as authentic to me, but whatever.
Someone's a hater.
Yeah, I do not like Cory Booker. I
don't know
I don't
Cory.
like him whatsoever.
Bet he's a great guy.
Yeah, he could be personally, but publicly he's representing himself fictitiously, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Sticking to it.
Okay, someone
But
sounds like a politician.
no, stop. Now it's like
Attack!
when you.
He knows how to go on the attack.
No, it's the language. I really don't like when people sit on a stage and go, racism, racism, racism. It's just,
Right.
to me, it's insulting to people's intelligence. Talk to the black community about what's going on in the black community. You don't need to scare them. Like, it's the fear politics pisses me off. And that's what they do. Every 4 years, it's fear politics. Well, you gotta vote for us because racism, racism, racism.
Right.
If it's not, that's manipulating us. That's using fear to control what we do, okay? We have a right to just be presented with the facts and being allowed to make a decision on our own. That's my really perspective. That's the big thing that's been so controversial. Candace Owens thinks that the black community should be spoken to about what's going on in their communities. They shouldn't be thrown Jay-Z and Beyonce concerts a la Hillary Clinton, right? Is that really that controversial of a thought? It's broken the internet. I go out and I say, hey, I think that there might be a little more to the story than everybody's racist. And they go, oh my God, like she can't say that. I'm not the first black conservative to do this. I don't know why I'm the most like controversial that this has turned into like.
We already highlighted it.
Yeah.
You're young and you're good looking and you're all.
But
you're
I'm not the
very
only
articulate.
good-looking, conservative, articulate person.
Find me another young one.
Yeah,
How many you got?
I don't know.
Young, whip smart, fast with the tongue.
But, and I do
talk.
want to say this. I think that the people like on the left, they say, "Oh, it's just because like, she's a black girl." I was agreeing with them. It's like, no, it's because for the first time, someone who has the audacity, and it's not the first time. It's not, I met with Secretary Ben Carson last week. Lovely man. You should have him on here sometime.
Seems like a nice guy.
He is brilliant.
They
Lovely.
threw out all that shit when people were hating on him and angry at him.
It
Never
was
lost
so-
his cool.
Never lost. He's
Stayed
so calm. Yeah.
Seems very
and
calm.
so imagine he and I meeting, and I'm like the knock him
Right.
down, like let me
And he's like,
out.
"Hello,
yeah.
Candace."
He's like, hello, Candace.
I'm a brain
And
surgeon.
we're just like.
That's what you want, though,
Yeah.
for a dude who's operating on brains.
Yeah,
You
I
want
know.
someone-
Calm. Yeah. And I'm like, here's what we're gonna do. Like we're in his office. I'm like, here's what we're gonna do. And we just like love each other. Like I mean, like it was just a love affair. Like I didn't realize that I was so intellectually uninspired my whole life because I was in a room of people that didn't understand me, and I never realized how misunderstood I felt until I got into a room with like Secretary Ben Carson. And he just like got me, and Armstrong Williams, who's a close friend of his, and he just like got me, and Kanye West, right? Like who they get me, and it's been so inspiring, and I'm so happy, and I don't think I've ever been this happy in my entire life. That's why it's hard for me to ever take a negative perspective on anything really, except for global warming. It's not real. Because I'm like, I feel so alive. Like I feel vivacious, and I see the change happening in the black community where I'm like, all you have to do is be an individual. I don't go on campus and say vote for Trump. I don't say you need to be a Republican. I actually have tons of problems with Republicans. People just don't ask me, you know? And they assume I'm a Republican. They assume I'm a registered Republican. That's just not true. I fully support the president. I love the guy. I don't know what to say. I love President Trump. I love his son. I love Don Trump Jr. I love Eric. I love Ivanka. And that's controversial.
You're allowed to love them.
They're great. They're great people, and I want you to meet them because when you can't not like them. Like, think about like Don Trump. Like
terribly wrong.
No, this could go bad. But think about like Don Trump Jr. Like, this is a guy who is out hunting moose.
Is friends with friends of mine. I text him. I know the guy. And he's supposed to come in here. We're supposed to play Techno Hunt.
Yeah, okay.
I have a video archery game.
And he's like, really like a grizzly bear, like out in wilderness and nature, and it's just like they've gotten a really like unfair shake in the media.
You should be like their spokesperson.
I love them. I mean, it's authentic.
It's not like you're hustling for a job.
No, I'm not. No. I've actually explicitly said I don't want to work on the administration.
What if someone came along and said, "We got a sweet deal for you"?
No, I've already been offered. People, just so everybody knows who thinks, oh, she's pining for. I've been offered shows. Everything that you think that I've been off, that I'm going towards, I've already been offered. I actually believe in what I'm doing, and I'm building my own company. I believe in it.
Oh, super ambitious.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to work for anybody.
I don't want to work for anybody because then you have confines. Like, let's say I went and, for example, worked for CNN or Fox News, right? Then I can't say David Hogg kind of sucks. But like that tweet, I would have had to remove about Chelsea Handler.
Oh, right.
Outrage machine. The best thing ever was when Jake Sykes deleted it. I'm like, haha, no.
Yeah, but if
in fact, I'm going to retweet it.
You could get away with it. Like Samantha, she did the right thing by apologizing. She made the right action.
Yeah.
She took the correct action.
Yeah, she did. She made the correct action. But what's so beautiful about me is I'm free. I say whatever I want, and then they say delete it, and I retweet it. Okay, by the way, that's to me, that's freedom. Like, you can't, like, that's the best part of this, is that I'm truly free. I can say whatever I want. I don't have advertisers that you can boycott. Like, it's just, I can say my Twitter feed is just me. Like,
that is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, I feel so empowered.
It's a very good thing, and I'm sure your ideas, I mean, there's no better way to have your ideas expressed than to have no one that you're beholden to have no boss.
Yeah, I love that, and that's why I was like, I started working with Charlie, and then I started building my own company, and now he's a part of my company, and now we work for each other, and it's just like we're mission driven, and I do support the president, but I don't want to go work in administration. That seems like the worst job in America.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you talking about wanting to be the secretary or press or
no. I mean,
whatever.
particularly this administration has got it because they're so angry and bitter about losing. Like, by the time 2024 comes around, it'll be a little different. But they've just been like, like they're just like you can sense it. They're angry.
There's definitely an ideological war going on there. It clouds a lot of thinking.
And who's winning?
I don't know. You tell me. Who's winning?
We're winning.
You're a Republican now.
No, I didn't say Republican. You just started there. No,
who's we?
No, we're winning. The independent thinkers, the people that think. Yeah, see.
Okay, just checking.
See, yeah, exactly. You're a Republican now. No, the people that have this mentality, the people that are freedom driven, that just want to be able to have different ideas, and that's why I snap back at conservatives too. I'm like, I'm not a product of the right. Don't think like I don't want people to go, oh, Candace is destroying the left, and she wants to create a monolith on the right. No, wrong. All I want black people to do is understand you have a right to like certain ideas on both sides, but you don't like what you should never allow is for someone to use your identity to define how you have to think. You should always be the person defining how you think. That's the message that I say on college campuses.
That's a very good message. Candace, we could probably talk for hours, but I gotta get the fuck out of here.
I know, I gotta fly to Wyoming. Now.
You going to Wyoming?
Yeah, right now.
You gonna hang out with Kanye on the ranch?
Maybe.
Yes, that's what she's doing. She's gonna go ride horses and shit.
Yep. Piss off some more liberals.
You're a firecracker.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. I really enjoyed talking to you. We'll do this again sometime, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Woo!
bella ciao, 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 se io muoio da partigiano, tu mi devi seppellire. Seppellire sulla montagna, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 seppellire sulla montagna, sotto l'ombra del e le genti che passeranno, bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, 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 e le genti che passeranno ti diranno che bel fior. Questo fiore del partigiano, questo fiore del partigiano porto per la libertà.
like all the way behind the trucks. Like,
И тут свободный оберегая стоит на страже 27-я.
Got a big ass mouth. Like that. Face to face with it, you be beefing through no FaceTime. Cool with all the thugs. My nigga told me gang signs bad, bitch. Bitches be like, where the fuck your waist from? Body like a porn star. He fuck me like he fresh out. Could've fucked your friend, but I heard he got a big mouth. Big mouth. He want pieces of his pussy by a big house. Big bands, 4 Giadas when I go to pull out. Big racks, know he be upset, I make him pull out. And make me horny when he driving with the stick out. Driving through the hood, showing me he got a stash house. Fuck him good, take that nigga money when he pass out. Ratchet, I keep it classy when he cash out. Dashes, nails done, I be trying to act out. And I got that pussy that's gonna make him leave the trap house. Glowed up, probably make more money than my dad now. I'm in my bag, hurting mad, now they furious. I'm in the cars, it's a fast and he furious. And I'm a fine, I'm a down, bitch, period. Why she smiling in my face, bitch, I'm curious. Ain't got no house, I heard she hoeing and she loitering. I heard she salty, better chill on all that sodium. Laid back, white toes, hanging out that Maybach. Freak show, Ruby got them twerking on that playback. Free throws, bitches don't be ballin' where I stay at. Come get your nigga, he be chillin' where I lay at. Bitches be chillin', I be doing in that Maybach. They like, damn, Ruby, how the fuck she do that? Belly on petite, ass on stupid fat. Round of applause, he love me when I make it clap. Don't make me have to go and get my shooter back. Don't make me have to show you I get into that. Double off for Ruby Rose and we ain't running that. Slime love, niggas yelling slack when they act outside. Bitches know that they gon' cap cause my stats up. That's rough. Money got me laughing in a bathtub. Man, I love niggas throwing money, got my mouth up. This is Ruby, so I'm rolling in a red truck. I can do it if it's flashy, that's a setup. Said he got a couple thousand, well it ain't enough. I ain't fucking with that nigga, that's a big mouth. He ain't even fuck my bitch, that's a big mouth. I don't even want a trip, I want a big house. Big bands, 4 Giadas when I go to pull out. Big racks, know he be upset, I make him pull out. Real hot girl shit. It ain't always about what you like, sometimes it's about what's right. I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you right. I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you right. Why you wanna play with me? You know I'm undefeated. A real high girl know how to keep a nigga heated. You say you want respect, well treat me how you wanna be treated. You told me keep it real, but you don't practice what you preaching. You want me to blow your phone up and come and looking for you till I find you. You really want me to fuck the hoe that you fucking with if I find her. Bitch, you ain't that busy, I don't give a fuck what you ain't got time for. You look me in my eyes and know you lying, man, that's far, bro. Man, you knew I was a player, so you made me need to relax. You know that you gon' hate me if I get the plan, get back. I ain't turning to no damage when you hit me, before I've been there. You tryna make me something that I ain't, and I ain't with that. I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you right. I'd rather be a B-I-T-C-H, cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm trippin' anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you right. I got my mind on getting paid. We ain't spoken some days. He probably thinking I'm in pain, but I'm really on game. Ain't no nigga finna stop me. Independent, I got me. All the shit that I be needing can't depend on the probably. And that's fucked up cause you know that I don't fuck with nobody. I be quiet, but you out here telling stories one-sided. I ain't perfect. about twerking? Since you wanna test them waters, might as well jump in with both feet. If you leave me and you see me, better act like you don't know me. If you think your shit get better with another bitch, go get her. When you realize she ain't got you like I got you, I'd rather be your B-I-T-C-H. Cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm tripping anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you, right? I'd rather be your B-I-T-C-H. Cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm tripping anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you, right? I'd rather be your B-I-T-C-H. Cause that's what you gon' call me when I'm tripping anyway. You know you can't control me, baby. You need a real one in your life. The bitches ain't gon' give it to you, right? I'd rather be your B-I-T-C-H. Got a big ass mouth. Like that. Face to face with it, can be beefing through no FaceTime. Cool with all the thugs, since my nigga told me gang signs bad, bitch. Bitches be like, where the fuck your waistline? Body like a porn star, he fuck me like he fresh out. Couldn't fuck your friend, but I heard he got a big mouth. He want pieces of his pussy by a big house. Big bands, fuck you got us when I go to pull out. Big rags, know he be upset, I make him pull out. And make me horny when he driving with the stick out. Driving through the hood, showing me he got a stash house. Fuck him good, take that nigga money when he pass out. Ratchet, I keep it classy when he cash out. Lashes, nails done, I be trying to act out. And I got that pussy, that's gonna make him leave the trap house. Glowed up, probably make more money than my dad now. I'm in my bag, hurting mad, not furious. I'm in them cars, it's a fast and the furious. And I'm a fine, I'm a down bitch, period. Watch the
Artillery and engineer companies. I mean, that's not that impressive. What do these guys have? That's it. I can break them then. They have artillery and engineer companies. But now I have what, 30 military factories. It's decent. Oh, send them something. Lend lease. year everything will be supplied, but we need to purchase some stuff from fucking America. So. Let's do some. Need more. I know. raping.
Nope.